Hello, everyone. This is Biz Chicks TV. This is the place where you can find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business that's fun to run and to take the hassle out of your hustle. And today we are here with Robin Shimizu and friends talking about happy, healthy habits so that you can do business better. Without your health, you can't keep your wealth. So, with that, we're going to introduce the summer present to others, Robin Shimizu. How you doing today, Robin?
Today is a great day. Foggy as all heck in Sacramento, but it's a beautiful day.
It is that.
So this is our first show in 2022,
Oh my goodness.
isn't it?
And Jill from the Breathing Space says, Good morning. Good morning, Jill.
Yay! And we have a
Yes.
very special guest with us today, Dr. Shakanda Rodgers. But before we get into that, I kind of wanted to start out the program by talking about how we got through 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And 2021 was just a bunch of changes, right? We just had so many changes. And one of the healthy habits I wanted to talk about today, just briefly, is about how we can change or improve our reaction to changes.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay.
So, you know, do, I mean, when you're in the car and someone cuts you off, I mean, how do you react? We can change the way we react to somebody cutting you off on the road. So it's sort of like, you observe somebody doing something and you can change the way you react to that person or the event or whatever by accepting the change, because you cannot necessarily control or change what happened, but you
Uh-huh.
can certainly change how you react to it.
Okay, so we can respond instead of reacting.
So if you get into the habit of accepting the changes you can't control,
Mm-hmm.
you continue working on your goals and your dreams, but having in mind those are what the changes that you want. And you just don't allow those other things to you let those other things go. And you can't change it, so don't dwell on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Wow.
we're the master of our own lives, right? We set our own directions.
Yes, indeedy. Wow, that is a great habit to make sure that we decide how we're going to react, quote unquote, respond. Cecilia says, "Good morning,
Good
good
morning.
morning, ladies.
So
How are you this morning?" Wow.
So
Hey,
I just want us to kind of stop and think about how we react to things in our lives, and try not to overreact, and step back and observe, and then decide whether or not you have any influence over that, which most of the time you don't, and then let it go, and then just
mm,
watch it float away, and don't react to it. Don't get everything all negative in your body. And so today we have Dr. Shakanda Rodgers, who's going to help us with this. She is a practicing licensed clinical psychologist,
mhm.
and she's going to help us today with how to handle emotion. I think, isn't it, Terry? What she was
Yes, we're gonna be
telling us.
talking about how to handle emotions. But before she does that, Cecilia says, "So true. You can control your reaction. Take a deep breath before saying or doing anything."
Mhm. That's right. And I find myself breathing deeply quite a bit these days. Stepping back
Oh,
and practicing deep breathing as Jill would teach us, or like,
mm.
all the tools that we're learning on the show. This is what we're going to do in 2022 is
Woosah.
calm or chaos.
Sounds
Anyway,
beautiful.
Dr. Rogers is with us, and she's like I said, she's a licensed clinical psychologist, and
Mhm.
she's a practicing physician. Well, she's a practicing doctor in the Sacramento area, but her area emphasis is dealing with depression, anxiety, and relationships, and people dealing with trauma and grief. She has a lot of great wisdom and a lot of tools for us to to utilize during the day as we go through our daily lives. And I'm sure that today, given that it's January 6th and it's quite an emotional day for many of us, the news, just watching the news can set off your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So let's bring on Dr. Rodgers, and she can help us with today's happy, healthy habit of dealing with our emotions.
Good morning, everybody. It's so good to be with y'all, as always. Just just being with the two of you feels like good medicine for my heart. So thank you for the invitation and thank you for the opportunity. And Robin, I just want to say thank you for offering that wisdom that started us off today. It actually made me think about something that my mindfulness teacher talks about often. He asks us to look at our lives and ask the question, are we relating to or are we relating from our experience? And
Mm-hmm.
so, what he means by that is, are we relating to it from a place of wisdom, or are we relating from it, meaning relating from those emotions? And so, when you were talking about the importance of accepting our circumstances, and we really do have a choice about how we respond to it. I think, Miss Terry, you were talking about the difference between responding versus reacting, right? And
Yes.
there is a fine line, but they're so incredibly important to distinguish that if we're responding to our circumstances from a place of wisdom, we can navigate it much more easily versus reacting impulsively from a place of overwhelm. So I think that's a really good segue into talking about our topic for today, which is how to navigate difficult emotions. So, as Robin was saying, that today is January 6th, and 1 year ago, this was a really, really difficult time for our country. And I feel like it's important to just name that and create space for discussing it, exploring it, getting curious about it as a way of figuring out how to cope with it. Um, and so, no matter what side of that issue you're on, I think that it was a traumatic experience for so many people, and the most important thing to be thinking about at this time is, how do we heal, right? How do we um, face something that's been difficult and challenging and use it as an opportunity for learning lessons about how to move forward? And what has come up for me as I've been thinking about this is actually a phrase that our friend Jill Weston uses with breathing space, which is calming your chaos. And so I've been thinking about that a lot. And I was thinking, what is calming for me? What is soothing for me? What is healing for me? What feels like medicine for my spirit? And so I've been thinking a lot about the words. I've been thinking a lot about the words medicine, healing, and calm. And lately, my heart's just been settling on the word calm because I think we need so much of that right now. And for me, when I think about what's calming, I actually turned it into an acronym, which is what I tend to do a lot. It's helpful for me to make these things, sort of bite-sized nuggets that I can think of throughout the day. So for me, calm is um, centering attention lovingly and mindfully. And so if we can really just root our responses to our lives, if we can root that in love and mindful awareness, I think that takes us so much further um, than doing things that are divisive. Love is a bridge that connects us all together. And I feel like that should be at the forefront of our minds as we navigate this pandemic, navigate, all of these divisive issues, whether it's around politics, whether it's around a mask, whether it's about a vaccine, whether it's about anything that could potentially create division or difference. Thinking about how do we respond with love? How do we speak to one another in love? How do we relate to one another in love? How do we embody love in, being together with one another and creating community?
Okay. Well, Jill from Breathing Space says, great tip, Dr. Rodgers. Navigate from wisdom versus overwhelm. Communicate more clearly. Educate versus agitate. And take 6 helpful actions.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
All of that. I'm just really just letting her words rest on my heart right now. I think that too was calming and centering for me. I really love educate versus agitate, right? So thinking about the words we use. There is a sign in my office. I'm working from home now, but when I was in my office, there is a sign there that says, "Words are the voice of the heart." And I think that is such a powerful reminder that the words we use can be life-giving, or they can also cut people down, right? So taking a gentle inquiry or a gentle inventory of, what is the language that I'm using? What's the language that I'm using in my own self-talk? What is the language that I'm using, when I am encountering a perfect stranger? What is the language that I'm using when I'm dealing with family members that I love and care for, and family members that maybe I have a difficult time with? So what is the language that we're using? And is that reflective of what's in our heart? So I think it's a good way of, just taking a step back and getting curious about what we're doing and why we're doing it, and the impact that has on others, and the impact that has on ourselves too.
Will you repeat that word, the sign that you were talking about, the words?
Oh yes, words are the voice of the heart.
Because out of the heart, the mouth speaketh.
That's right.
That is so true. It's how you react to whatever's happening around you. If you come from a place from your heart and from love instead of your emotions, it will calm everything down. I'm just flashing on my sister who gets road rage. I don't know how to help her not to get so mad at the other drivers. And how do you do that when you're with people that are how do you manage a situation where somebody is really overreacting to a situation where it really doesn't require that kind of reaction, like you get cut off on the freeway. I just keep focusing on that because I just don't understand how come she gets so mad. And I don't know how to help her. So I kind of just sit there and say, oh, that's okay. I don't know what to do exactly. So how do we help people that are around us that are doing that, that are reacting, and it affects us?
Yeah. One of the things that I will ask my clients, especially if they're talking about something that's difficult or something that's activating and it gets folks revved up,
Right.
I will listen to that for a few moments, and then I'll say, okay, let's take a pause. And then, we both will pause. And then I'll say, you know, in order to cope with this, part of what we have to do is drop out of the narrative we have, because we construct stories about our experience. So let's use the road rage example. Like, what's the narrative around that? Like, that person cut me off, they're inconsiderate, I can't believe they did that. And then we just spin out in the internal narrative that we've got going, and then that gets our bodies, activated, and then the next thing you know, we're flying off the handle. And so I think it's important to first pause, to recognize that there's the narrative that's happening, like the internal narrative, but we're not going to stay stuck in the narrative, because if we stay stuck in the narrative, that's what continues to, make us spiral. And so we actually cut off the narrative and we drop into the body. And so we pay attention to what is the physical sensation you're having right now. So if you're angry, what does that feel like in the body? Is the body constricted and tight? Is the heart racing? Are you shaking? What are the things that are happening? Is your stomach in knots? Is your temperature rising? Right? So you start to pay attention to what is happening in the body. So a quick way of thinking about that is just drop out of the narrative and drop into the body. And then you work to calm what's happening in the body. Right? So it's redirecting your attention away from the narrative, which is where we can get in lots of trouble, because we have all kinds of narratives about everything that's happening in our experience. But if we really focus on, okay, what is the felt sense of this anger? What is the felt sense of, another situation that might bring about sadness? What does sadness feel like in the body? What does anxiety feel like in the body? What does grief feel like in the body? So whatever the difficult emotion is, it's really about, again, mindful awareness, directing it to, okay, what is my body telling me about this experience? And how can I tend to my body, my physical self? And when I can calm my body, that also calms my heart. And then that also calms my mind. But yeah, I think it's really important that we we spend less time on the narrative, because the narrative isn't always accurate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's very, very helpful. Yeah, because we're going to be dealing with a lot of stressors and a lot of emotion during the upcoming year, as things are not. I mean,
we're going into the second year of being in a pandemic. Yes. And that is very, very stressful for all of us in one way or another, right? So it's going to be even more important. The folks that I serve with on the board of psychology, we constantly talk about the mental health pandemic that is going to be an outcome of this pandemic that we're in, right? What is the emotional toll that this has taken and will continue to take on, on people, as we continue to have to pivot, adjust, reorganize, take care of ourselves. Take care of ourselves physically, and how do we take care of ourselves emotionally too, as this wears on, right? This is something that we thought might be going on for, maybe a few weeks or a few months. I don't think anyone anticipated that 2 years later we'd all still be, meeting virtually for most aspects of our lives. So yeah, this is a real trauma that we're navigating through every day. And so how do we care for
Wow.
ourselves?
So I don't know if I am equipped to speak to someone who is going through road rage. I don't know if I say to them, let's take a pause, if they'll go bonkers. Pause? Who needs a pause? People can go, whoa,
Mhm.
0 to 100.
Yeah.
I know one thing I do not want people to tell me when I'm trying to express myself is to calm down, because it makes me feel like you're not hearing me.
Mhm.
Or
Oh, Miss Terry, this is a question that I love, love, love to ask people when they're, talking about something that's really, really difficult or challenging. I and I also use this when I'm going through something difficult and challenging, and I'm talking to, a friend or a family member. The question I always like to ask is, how can I best support you through
there
this?
you go. Now see how.
And then they can tell you what they need. Maybe they
Yes.
maybe they just need to rant, maybe they need to rage, maybe they need problem solving, maybe they need emotional support. But if you ask the question, then it's showing them that you are listening, right? And
Hmm.
you don't want to presume what the solution is, right? And so if you say, well, how can I best support you? Then that gives them an opportunity for them to say to you, well, what I'm really needing is this. Like,
Yes.
I don't want you to I don't want you to solve it for me. I'm not looking for solutions. I just need to rant for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I just need to go here for
Yeah.
just a few
Yeah,
seconds.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I always, whenever I'm going through something, I'll say, okay, this is what I'm needing. I'm needing
Mm.
support. I'm needing encouragement. I'm needing validation. I'm needing someone to rant with me. Um,
Mhm.
and then I will tell them, whatever the issue is. So we can all be on the same page about, where the conversation is going and what would be most helpful.
I like that approach.
Yeah.
How can I best support you?
Hmm.
And others, tell me what you need
Yep.
to get through this. Do
Absolutely.
you just need me to be quiet and let you go bonkers for a couple of seconds? Okay, I can do
Yeah.
that. And now
Absolutely.
I know what to do when you get
Hmm.
in this space,
Yep.
with this particular behavior. I know it's temporary. And I know
Mhm.
if I just chill out, that you're going to get it out and now we can move on. You know,
Absolutely.
and
Yep.
so now you're not taking out every car on the road because because I said
Hmm.
calm down.
Yes. Yes.
Like calm
Um, yes. Calm down is, I think it's well intentioned,
It
but
is.
it is unhelpful
I,
many
and
times.
I find it demeaning.
It's
I
invalidating. It can be. It can feel that way for sure.
hmm Yeah, because I don't get there often.
Yeah.
And so if I'm there, then I need something besides the words calm down,
Hmm.
because it means a
Hmm.
lot of stuff is taking place.
Yes. Yes.
And I may not even know what I need.
It's true.
That's
But
true.
Yeah.
at least if you
Yeah.
ask, it makes me have to stop and think, well, I don't know
Yes, you
what I need
have to
right now.
pause and figure out, okay, well, what do I need in terms of
Exactly.
support? What am I hoping to gain from this? And how can the person I'm talking to show up for me in a way that I feel supported?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah. And it really just changes the direction of that conversation too, to a
Yes.
more positive, helpful place, and stops the yeah, I'm going to use that
How
Please.
can
in
I
every
best?
single day of my life, because we can't, like started out the program, we can't control what we can't control. We can
Mm-mm.
only control ourselves and how we
Mhm.
react to it. And
Yes.
yeah, and this, oh my goodness, this has been so helpful. Words are the voice of the heart. Isn't that
Mhm.
beautiful?
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
is really poetic.
Yes.
Wow. How
Remember,
can I best support you?
And then you can also turn that question around and ask yourself too, like, how can I best support myself
mhm,
through this?
Mm.
When we're going through a difficult time, whether it's related to the pandemic or anything else, right? You can, first notice what's present. Oh, I'm feeling sad about this. Oh, I'm feeling angry about this. Oh, I'm
Mhm.
feeling anxious and overwhelmed by this. So once you name what's present, and it's not always just one thing. You can be anxious and sad, right? You can
Yes.
be angry and sad. You can have multiple emotions at one time, but once you identify what's there, then say, okay, how can I best support myself? How can I tend to this sadness? How can I tend to this anger in a way that's loving and
Mhm.
gentle and compassionate and caring? And then that too changes the dynamic. It changes it from being stuck in that emotion to how do I care for it?
Mhm.
Mm.
Beautiful.
Wow.
That is so helpful. And
Very
and
good. I'm glad.
it's actually quite simple, but you just
It
have to
is.
remember it and
Mm.
and and prioritize our own well-being. I mean, that's
Yes.
part of it, right? If you prioritize your own well-being and you're coming at it from a place of love and compassion, it's going to
It makes
calm things.
all the difference.
Yeah.
Yes. And the other thing that I will tell my clients is practice these skills when you're not agitated, right?
Mm.
Because if you try to practice it when you're agitated, it doesn't work as well. But if you're practicing it all the time when things are fine, then when you do hit a bump in the road, it's easier to reach for that skill, right? Because you've been practicing it already. So mindfulness is a practice, right? That's why
Wow.
we talk about practicing it every single day as much as you can. That way you'll be able to remember when rough times hit because they eventually will.
Wow. Well, Dr. Rodgers, this has been so helpful.
Oh,
Mhm.
good. It
It
helps me to talk it out with you guys.
it really, really has. We appreciate the opportunity to glean from you and to tap into your wisdom. We want to thank you for that. Wow, Robin, you always find such great guests. I'm just saying, and going into what is this year three of the wonderfulness? Um,
Isn't it amazing how fast 3 years go by? My goodness.
we hasn't gone by yet, but we're into the third session. So I'm just like, okay, uh, I need some coping skills. And I love this phrase, how can I best support you?
Mhm.
Because, you know, when you're calling up your friends and they've suffered loss, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
A lot is going on in
Mhm.
these situations, and there's going to be less support financially from the government. I mean, they're like, year three, come on, people. It's thinking they thought it was going to be over too, I'm sure.
Mhm.
um, this is going to be a good time to remember this phrase. I need to post this phrase on my refrigerator. How can I best support you?
Mhm. Mhm.
And help me to remember that words are the voice of the heart. Out of the heart, the mouth speaketh.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness. Yes, Robin.
I think we should. I'm going to put a sign on my in my vision board. The words are the voice of the heart because I forget sometimes.
Yeah.
Speak with compassion and you know it is a practice and you do have to. I mean, you do have to practice it
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
it doesn't come naturally necessarily for most of us, I would think. But this has just been so helpful.
Well, the
So we
breathing space gives it 5 stars.
I see that.
And Cecilia said, thank you so much. I really appreciate the conversation, the topic, and the sharing. Yeah, because she's a caregiver, and I'm sure that, these are
Mhm.
trying times. These
Mhm.
are really, really trying times. So, ladies, thank you so much. I want to remind everybody that Robin is here every Thursday with all these wonderful special guests. I want to thank you again, Dr. Rogers, for taking the
Of
time out
course.
to speak to our community. We will post this over in the Biz Chicks community, and we want you to know that if you're interested in becoming a part of that community, that you can simply text Biz to 33777. There we go. Um, Robin, what do you have for us next week? You know, when I talk to your guests, what I always feel calmer.
It's wonderful because it gives us some continuity from week. I
Mm,
mean, it's a reminder every week how to take care of ourselves in many different ways. Um, this was the perfect way to start out 2022.
beautiful.
Perfect way. So I just appreciate you so much, Dr. Rodgers,
Oh, same. Thank you.
for helping us today and starting us out 2022. It's going to be a great year. It is. It's going
Oh
to
my
be,
goodness, I'm looking forward to it. I
yeah.
want everybody to know that I am gonna jump back into California Cover Ups, and
Mhm.
today I'm going to do a pop up over there on my California Cover Ups Facebook page. So if you want to see the spring fashions, you know, hop over there. We're going to start around 9. It's about in about 30 minutes, and I'm looking forward to 2022.
Mm,
Thank you, Dr. Rogers.
absolutely.
Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
And now you know that, if and when rough times hit, you have some medicine for your heart.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So, Robin, who do you have coming up next week? Do you know?
So next week is the Thursday, the 13th, right?
Mhm.
We have Linus with us. Linus will be with us on the 13th, and on the 20th, we'll have Jill with us.
Wow, Jill. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be so calm this month. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Remember that tomorrow we'll be here at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time talking tech in English so that you can get some tips and tools on how to do business better.
Mhm.
Remember, while we're doing that, we want you to go to the front of your own line. Have a great day, and we'll see you ladies tomorrow. Bye bye.